Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Animaking 3. And today I'm going to be giving you part 31 of What If Naruto Was Betrayed by Hagoromo. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Had the Rarest Bloodline over Animaking 2. And enjoy that guys. And he also posted a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was an Elite Blue Eye Uchiha over an Animaking. So go ahead and enjoy it as well. And remember, if you're new, to go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Animaking family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, the Raikage was pissed as he gathered his men. He already sent a letter to the Teshikage as he was gonna go on without him if he's late. As he was making his way towards the Otsutsuki Empire, he had no idea that Naruto was facing off against Tsunade. He thought that Naruto just dropped into his village on purpose, just to rattle the village and just leave like that. So the man went off to kill Naruto as he brought all the machines that were saturated with nature energy as he made his way off towards the Otsutsuki Empire. At Konoha, as Tsunade was brought back dead, his eyes had reverted back to normal, the normal Byakugan that were to be transplanted back to Hanabi, as Tsunade tried to talk to the clone, as she asked him what now. Before they could discuss anything, he poofed away. Meanwhile, the Raikage was beyond shock when suddenly Naruto dropped in their midst. He told the man to raid the machine as he fired. He had 100 of his elite soldiers behind him to distribute this swift execution and destroy the Otsutsuki Empire. The nature engine tore Naruto's armor right off and punctured holes all through him, as the Raikage then attacked Naruto relentlessly, bashings after bashings, showing his robotic arm that was created specially for him, that had nature engine inside, a small portion though that was captivated, as he couldn't hold a large portion. Nature energy was wild and unpredictable if not used properly. So, he used that as he started to beat the absolute crap out of Naruto. As the battle was fierce, as he sent in his man, he could not kill Naruto without the weapons, as it would take at least 10 minutes. He sent the rest of his soldiers in to handle Naruto. There was 100 of them. By the time the battle ended, there was only 6 of them remaining, as most of them had used their body to try to hold on Naruto, as they sacrificed their lives so the Raikage could get a good shot. As the beams were fired down towards him, it extinguished everything as Naruto was completely erased from the face of the earth. He was gone. C spread out his senses as Naruto was nowhere around, as the Raikage couldn't believe it, despite having him pinned down and weakening him with the nature engine, as the nature engine was fighting Naruto's body from the inside, as nature didn't really like him that much, and the sage had told the Raikage specific details on what to do. So he was surprised that Naruto was still able to bring down 96 of his soldiers by the time everything was over. But at least they won. As he reported that back to the Teshikage, the both of them having a talk, the Teshikage didn't like to be left out of things, as he saw it as a sign of betrayal. But after reporting that Naruto was dead, the both of them could breathe a sigh of relief. Now, the Otsutsuki Empire with all of its resources and everything that belongs to it could be theirs, and then they will turn the rest of the weapons onto the rest of the world. A week passed as Yujito went towards Konoha. She was given permission to see the Hokage, as she wanted to know if any of them had seen Naruto, Tsunade, Mito, as it has been a week and he hasn't showed his face not even once. Juri then came back with some disturbing news, that Naruto was dead. Mito lost it, as she denied everything. Her brother wouldn't be brought down that easily. Yujito was given free rein to leave, as they didn't want to start anything with the Otsutsuki Empire, and Tsunade hadn't done them anything and she hadn't done them anything, so she allowed her to leave. as Mito was in full denial. Was he really? Could he really be dead? No, something like that was impossible. Her brother. She was the one that was going to change him and bring him back. He was not dead. There was no way. So yeah guys, so basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the place and check out for yourself. So this is the beginning of this new episode. It has been 2 weeks since a so-called death by the hands of Kumo of Naruto Osusuki. Many things that happened in the past week. As we currently go to meet Terumi, who were sitting at her decks. A large part of Kiri was destroyed in the attack. After realized that he was truly dead because he did not show his face after the rumors had been spreading around. She decided to retake her country. The facility that was created so that the Osusuki guards and the advisor that was planted there in Kiri was now dead. She couldn't believe how strong they were. They had that same silver energy like Naruto. But the full force of Kiri, she didn't need them. She and a couple of her ninjas went out there. Many of them were lost in the process. But she took them down. And now her country was once again free from the plague of the Osusuki Empire. Kiri has closed all of their borders as they were going to rebuild. Keep quiet for now until everything was back up to full function. As she was at her decks, thinking, she remembered the words that Naruto said to her. If she ever stepped out of line, he will come back and massacre every single man, woman, and child. And slaughter her last to make sure she feel every one of their pain and suffering. But he was truly dead. The rumors had spread like a wildfire all over the elemental nation. After all, the Osusuki Empire was spreading wild and large like a wildfire, taking over every single minor nation. But now it came to a stop. The empire had closed off itself, but not completely. Ninjas were still doing normal missions. That was the thing that worried her. They don't seem to be worrying at all. They were doing normal missions. But he was dead. The Raikage had confirmed that himself. And Naruto, given the person that he was, he would have showed his face to show them that he was not dead. So him being locked away in his palace didn't make sense to her. So she truly believed that he was actually dead. And that they were freed from that plague. She knew that soon enough, the village will get attacked. For all that they did and for all the things they took over. But one thing that still troubled her at the moment though. Why hasn't the minor villages started to fight back? Naruto was the main power, he was the head. He was the thing that kept them in line. But now, he was gone. So why haven't they started to fight back yet? That was rather concerning. The same thought was running through the head of Tsunade Senju at the moment. As she was at her decks. 2 long weeks since the event. Since they were told that he was dead. Mito had nearly lost it. She almost leveled the entire Forest of Death. She had to send Sasuke and Haku inside to subdue the girl and to calm her down. As it was quite surprising that none of them, not even her or Jiraiya, could stop the girl if she truly got angry. The power that she contained was just ridiculous. At the moment, she and Sasuke was the most powerful in the Leaf Village out of everyone. There has been a lot of talks about him being dead. But for some reason, Tsunade didn't feel like he was dead. After all, there was no body. And what exactly does the Raikage possess for him to kill someone like Naruto? She had seen Naruto did unbelievable things, pulling meteors from the sky. And she didn't believe that the Raikage himself could kill him, not even this vast amount of soldiers. So that begs the question, what exactly does the Raikage have? Knowing how greedy that man was, she was sure that soon enough he would turn against Konoha. Yes, and try to plague them for what they have. They have always been at loose ends, never truly having a formal bond between their village. So she was sure that soon enough he will bring a war to their doorstep, and Konoha is gonna have to retaliate back as well. After all, hiding would just show weakness for them to think that they're in control of everything. But at the moment she was curious, if he wasn't dead, then where was he? Meanwhile, at the Uzumaki compound, as Mito was lying on her bed, Haku was lying down beside her. Both girls were in full denial. Mito just let her anger get the best of her when she almost leveled the Forest of Death. But both of them were in full denial that Naruto was actually dead. They knew how strong he was, so they didn't believe it one bit. Sasuke was also in denial as well. Something just didn't add up here. But if not, where the hell was he? There was a knock on the door before it opened up, as Sasuke stepped inside, as he had 2 containers in his arm. He brought them in as he placed on the bed. Both girls looked at him with a thankful look as it was food. Given the situation, Sasuke had to be the strong one here, despite the both of them denying it over and over. It was still hard to face the fact if this was reality. Was he truly gone? Haku had loved him, the first person she had ever felt this way about. And he was her brother to Mito. Her brother that has been there since day one, which she knew, given time, she could have somehow saved him. Or she could have somehow convinced him not to attack the leaf, not to try and take over the leaf, and they can somehow work out some partnership. But if he was actually gone, Sasuke had to be the strong one, as the both of them didn't seem in the mood to do anything. If it wasn't for him, they would just sleep the entire day away, as they didn't even want to go on missions. Tsunade didn't push them, as she allowed the two girls to grieve, because if this was reality, then they should be grieving. Because it was going to be hard to push past something like this. Very, very hard. You guys need to eat something, said Sasuke, as he moved forward and picked the two of them up by their hands, pulling them up in a sitting position. The both of them shoulders slumped as he placed the containers in their lap. Thanks, said Mito. Yeah, thanks, said Haku. Don't mention it. Just eat something, said Sasuke. The both of them nodded. Meanwhile, at the barbecue shack, as the members of the rookie team were all there, discussing about what they recently heard. Hinata, despite not knowing him, was, well, sad, as he did what he said. He saved her sister, he even brought back her eyes. So she couldn't believe when she heard that he was dead. She didn't even get to thank him. Shikamaru was curious about the entire situation, as he was always the logical one, thinking there was no body, there was no proof. But given the fact that he wasn't showing his face, well, they didn't really know. Sakura didn't know him so well, so she didn't have anything to say about this. The others were there just discussing about recent activities. Kakashi was currently standing in front of a memorial stone. As he looked down, this is the place that he's always been when someone he knew, someone that was close to him, was taken away. There hasn't been much conversation between him and Naruto since what happened. But still, Naruto was his student, and for the time he was his student, the both of them had shared a bond. But now he was gone. Kakashi thought that at least he could protect Minato's two children. Well, Naruto was still his children, given the fact that he was some reincarnation god or something like that, but he still came from Kushina, right? So they were still their children. And now Mito was in pain, as he could see how much pain the girl was in when he saw her. Haku, Sasuke, all of them were still in denial though. But Kakashi knew how prideful Naruto was, and if he wasn't dead, he would have showed his face a long time ago. So that begs the question, if he wasn't dead, where was he? At that very moment, as Teiwaya slammed her hand on the table, "Be quiet," she said, as she looked at the council members of the Otsutsuki Empire, all of them murmuring to themselves, before they quickly quiet down. The village was more than active. They had control over many minor nations. With things like this going on, she couldn't run the village herself, as there was a council set up for shinobi matters, and a council set up for civilian matters, and there was a council set up for shinobi matters. As they were asking what they were to do, the people were getting worried to think that the man that had created this entire place, that had brought them out of poverty, was now gone. They knew that this would be a big backlash, as Naruto was the main head. There was many strong ninjas here because he had shared some of his power with them. But still, he was the thing that kept fear into the others' heart. He was the thing that kept them away. Despite there being many ninjas here, they will still come looking for war. And if Kumo had something to take down Naruto, which one of them could actually stop Kumo and the stone? That was worrying on their mind, as the civilian council wondered what they should tell the populace. "Just keep this story going for now," said Teiwaya. "I assure you, everything will work out fine," she said. They weren't in any authority to question her, so they kept their mouth shut. As long as everything runs smoothly, and they have a good life, and this section that they're working on work out well, They weren't in the position to question her. At the main castle, Guren currently had her hand on Yujito's stomach. Yes, indeed, Yujito was pregnant for Naruto. She had just found out recently, after everything. She had found out before he had went on that mission, on that fight to take on Torun. She wanted to tell him there and then, but she decided to wait till he came back. But now, Guren smiled at her. If he is anything like his father, he will be a handful. Don't I know it, said Yujito, as she smiled down towards her stomach. She had nothing to worry about, after all. He was the one that told her that no one could make him fall, and that he would always come back no matter what. So why should she worry? After all, she had no reason to worry. Meanwhile, at Kumo, the Tishikage had come personally. The both of them were in the chambers, both him and Tishikage and their bodyguards alone, discussing, well, matters to move on. They had already taken out one major threat. As Tishikage was sitting there, behind him was his granddaughter Kurosaki, and Akisaki, Darui, and C was behind the Raikage. We haven't heard a single report about the weapons. It seems like you did well on hiding the specific of what actually took down the Otsutsuki, said the Tishikage. The Raikage nodded. I told you that everything will be kept at wrap. Now, it's for us to move forward. First of all, I say we go and take everything that village has to offer. It has been growing in luxury ever since he fully took control of his own, changing it into the Otsutsuki Empire. Once we take over the Otsutsuki Empire, that will give us reign to take over all the minor nations. We will save Konoha, the San, and Kiri for last. Kiri is still in a weakened state after the war, so that should be rather easy. Konoha, if Naruto Otsutsuki cannot fight up against these weapons, and given that he was so powerful, Konoha won't stand a chance. We will have them at our beck and call the moment that we're ready. The Tishikage simply smirked. It seems like you planned this all out thoroughly. Stop acting like you did not as well, said the Raikage. Well, once this is all over, we split the profits down in the middle, 50-50, and remain the two largest nations. If any other small nation try to bring themselves back up, we will once again unite if they pose some kind of threat and take them down. That is the deal, the Raikage said, as he had a rather arrogant smirk, knowing that he brought down the man that killed his brother, the man that was said to be the strongest in the world right now, that could literally pull meteors from the sky. So he felt rather proud of himself. Well, for the time being, a slurping sound could be heard. All of them paused as he turned towards the door. As he still continued to get louder and louder, the Raikage was confused. He had told their envoys to keep everyone outside, to not let anyone enter. The slurping sound was getting louder and louder. Kurosaki could swear that was someone slurping through a straw on a juice. As the door was kicked open, violently so, it was kicked off the hinges. Immediately, all of them got to their feet. The Raikage was confused. Where were they? He noticed bodies on the ground, but he didn't hear a sound outside. Who could have killed them so swiftly that it wouldn't even... The slurping got louder as someone stepped in the room. A cup in his hand, with a lid and a straw, as he slurped out the rest of the juice that was inside the cup. He tossed the cup inside the room, with not a care in the world, as he bit down on the cinnamon bun in his hand. He walked over to Raikage and Tishikage and the guards, tense, as he simply sat down, as he kept on eating his cinnamon bun. Everyone was confused as hell, completely shocked as he couldn't understand what exactly was going on. Was this some sort of illusion? As he kept on eating his cinnamon bun, he was wearing a black, loose t-shirt with a red haori over it that stopped right at his waist, that was open up at the front, black pants, normal boots. As he just sat there, his long white hair going back down to his back, his golden eyes looking at all of them, he finished his cinnamon bun as he threw the wrapper in the room, not really caring about anything. He looked around. Oh, don't let me stop you. Please, continue, he said. The Raikage instantly shot forward, its fist already caught back, as he slammed his fist into the one and only Naruto Otsutsuki's face. A tremor broke the walls and the windows, as everything behind Naruto was blown away with such force it crashed into the wall, tremoring it even more. The Raikage stepped back in utter shock, when Naruto's face did not even budge at the blow. It was like a piece of paper had touched him. The man didn't even move. Particle style, said Tsuchikage, as he surrounded Naruto in a cube. Now die, he said. Only that the particle style simply break apart. Kurosaki instantly went through hand signs. She spewed out a white substance out of her mouth. That she spewed water on as it hardened, freezing Naruto on his seat. How are you alive? The Raikage said, as he looked at Naruto. I watched you die. Oh really? Said Naruto. You know something? He simply broke his hand out of the hardened cement as he snapped his finger. Everyone gasped when two people appeared in the room in a white flash. Their bodies seemed to materialize out of nothing but light. Standing there was none other than Hagoromo and Homura. The both of them looked around confused. They had spent so much time in the human world, it would take a while for their injury to resurface so they could come back. So how were they? The both of them looked at Naruto sitting there. As the man turned his head, Hagoromo looked towards the Raikage and Tsuchikage. This was bad. He found out. The Raikage wondered what the hell is going on. Why isn't he hearing anything outside? Why isn't his envoy here? Oh, you're probably wondering what is going on. Naruto snapped his finger. Screams could be heard. Explosions. The Raikage looked through the window as he saw a massive shadow looming over the village. A great wing flap. Buildings were torn and ripped apart. What is that? Oh, that's just my friend. His name is Ragnarok. You will meet him shortly. So, tell me, Hagoromo, I heard you taught him how to harness nature energy to kill me. You know, I'm wondering something. How stupid can you be, he says. He looked towards Raikage. Think about it. If nature energy could kill me the way he said, how didn't he use it to kill me? Are you that foolish? The Tsuchikage was confused, as he did not understand what the boy was getting at, and how was he even here? But what? Said Naruto as he looked at the Raikage. I mean, did you really think, even if nature energy, yes, it does have a vile affection on me, because nature is my opposite, but it can't just kill me like that. You should know a god can't just be taken down that easily by mere machines that were created by you mortal. Did you really think that you could bring me down? You want to know something, said Naruto. He was gone. The Raikage was smacked across the head, its head bursting through the table. Do you really think that your machines could keep up with my speed? If I wanted to, I could have just left. Instantly, a Black Panther was launched towards Naruto. He slapped it away with ease. As he appeared behind Darui, snap! He broke his neck as Darui body dropped to the ground. The Raikage picked up himself, his body bathed in lightning. Naruto lowered his hand as everyone fell to their knees. A pressure descended upon the room that crashed them down to their knees. He then turned his head towards his two brothers. How could you think this would work? Homura glared towards Hagoromo as he knew that this would never work. And look what he has done now. How did you? Nature energy is your exact opposite. It should have been enough to take you down. Really? Are you that stupid? Huh. And you people worship and call a god as the sage of Sixth Path. I wasn't even there, said Naruto. What the hell do you mean? Said the Raikage as he struggled to get back up. Naruto sighed. He snapped his finger as a wall just opened up to show a scream. It was a vision. A memory of sorts of that day. Flashback. What they were seeing on the screen. As Naruto was holding Tsunade up in the air as he looked down towards Earth, a smile came on his face. It seemed like everything was going towards the plan. He created a clone and threw Tsunade over to the clone as the clone grabbed Tsunade's throat. as the both of them descended down towards Earth. End of flashback. I gave that clone enough energy so that it would survive your onslaught. You know something? You always had nature energy over me. You be quiet, said Naruto. As Hagoromo glared at him. He had an idea what Naruto did, but that shouldn't be possible. As Hamura did not say anything. Back then, I tried to find out exactly how. You tapped into nature energy, but it was always against me. But I then realized something when I was experimenting. I could force my will over nature energy. But the thing was, I need a large quantity of nature energy. And the amount that you could muster, it wasn't enough for me to completely dominate it so that I could completely inherit it in my system. So that I can absorb it instead of fighting against it. So I waited. I thought all hope was lost when I found out that you were plotting against me. Did you really think I can't sense nature energy? It might be effective against me, but that makes it all the more point so I can sense it. But you thought, with these guys planning and gathering so much nature energy I wouldn't be able to sense it. I knew what you were doing. I even came by a few times to see how far they were going along. It took them 3 years. And a bit more convincing. You know Hamura, one of your little pawns, Tighnari, up at the moon, tried to destroy Earth and kill me. He hit me with a beam after gaining the Tenseikan, much weaker than yours. I aimed my body directly for Kumo so that I would create an impact and cause massive destruction, so that the Raikage here would push everything according to schedule and attack me. Therefore, my clone got hit with so much potent nature energy that it absorbed it into his skin. When he dispersed, all of that was rushed back towards me. I spent the next few weeks at the Dragon Land. I didn't think that it would take that long, but it did. Where I completely forced my will over nature energy, so that I could absorb it even more. Come on. Naruto turned towards the Raikage. You know how prideful I am. Do you really think I would stand there and let you do that to me? Why wouldn't I have just dropped a meteor on you and kill all of your people? I guess you were so rich with power you thought that you actually had a chance. But I guess all of that was waste, right? And once again, Hagoromo, you tried and yet you failed. But you gave me something quite special. After all, if it wasn't for you, I couldn't have done this. As Naruto activated his Rinne Tenseikan, but his eyes were no longer red only. A tinge of gold was in them. As his eyelid, the outer corner of his eyes were also golden, with gold marks running down into his face, lines going straight down towards his chin and going down his body. As Naruto looked over his body, the power coursing through his veins, I was completely able to overpower nature itself. By consuming all that power inside of me, I can now draw it from the air, because a large portion is already inside of me, no longer fighting against my will, because my chakra is far more superior to nature, it seems. Hagoromo was at a complete loss, as he couldn't believe that things would turn out this way. I bet you must feel real stupid right now, don't you? Said Naruto. And you, Hamura. How could you let him do something like this? I mean, I know you guys hate me and want to kill me, but what about the rest of the world? Given this man here so much power, what do you think he was gonna do after he killed me? Do you think he was gonna sit back and relax? You fools, he was gonna try and take over the earth. Don't you know that? Said Naruto. I had nothing to do with this. I warned him against what he was doing. I told him that this was wrong. I told him that greedy people like this man would never fight for peace, because once you were gone, he would do the same thing of taking over the rest of the elemental nations. Hagoromo clenched his fists. Once again you tried to kill me but failed. The last time you sealed me away because you couldn't have the amount of power to kill me. That's another thing. If he had nature energy, why couldn't he have just killed me back then? Why couldn't he have just end my life? You foolish, stupid man, said Naruto as he walked over. He slammed his foot into the Raikage's face, breaking his nose. The man was thrown as he smashed against the wall. Naruto, it's over. You don't have to. Naruto snapped his finger as Hagoromo and Hamura were gone. Given the fact that he had so much power now, different energy, like nature, he could summon them at will. Their life force had run out for them to be here, but he could summon them. As nature energy was a big boost, but up to this point he has never really gone all out on someone. The temperature of the room and the weight returned back to normal as the Tishikage struggled to get back up to his feet. I bet you guys thought that you won, huh? That all of this was over. Bow, said Naruto. Both men looked at him, glaring in their eyes. Naruto sighed. He was gone. Gramps, she was cut off as her throat was grabbed. No, let her go, said Onki as he looked at Naruto. She has done nothing to you. Naruto paused. She has done nothing to me? Bitch, I kill people. Snap! He snapped her neck like he was simply turning his hand, as her body simply fell to the ground. Onki's eyes pulsed with rage. But before he could do anything, Akisaki descended himself upon Naruto, its fist coming down trying to crush him. A brutal kick smashed into the side of his temple as he was launched towards the back of the room. Onki went through hand signs. He brought his hand together, but a slap that broke several teeth in his mouth launched him towards the side of the building, his head snapping against the wall. Blood instantly started to run down his face. The Raikage looked up with rage. Don't worry, I'm not going to kill either of you. I still want a challenge. Do you know that in my long life, even against my brothers, I've never actually gone 100%. Always holding back. I recently fought what's his name again? That guy that controlled Kira, said Naruto, not really caring about that. And I had to use 10% of my power to fight him. Because if I had gone more than that, he would have died too quickly. When I started to see him transform and get all riled up, it get me excited. You know that I was once known as the God of War? Because I really enjoy fighting. So it always get me excited when person always push past your limits. Although I'm at a huge disadvantage because I never step into a battle with more than 10% if I have to. When I faced off against Hagoromo and Hamura, I wasn't even using 100% of my power. Do you want to know how much, said Naruto, as the Raikage was afraid to ask. Nah, I don't feel like telling you. But you should know something. This isn't how I'm supposed to be. The Raikage was confused and angry by that statement. Well, I'm not going to show you that, said Naruto. He snapped his finger as a pulse was released, blowing everyone away as the roof was exploded. Naruto floated up as he saw Ragnarok, burning the city, slaughtering people. He whistled as Ragnarok flew up towards him. The last 2 weeks he's been at the Dragon Land with Ragnarok. We're not gonna kill them all. We still want them to find a way to challenge me, said Naruto. Because if there is no challenge, there is no fun. He slammed his hand together as he raised hand to the sky. A little momentum to make sure that they know they have to do something to face me in the future. To make sure they remember this day always. Heavenly Sword, said Naruto. The Raikage jumped to the roof. His eyes nearly fall out of his skull. Akisaki was holding on to Kurasaki's dead body, as C was holding on to the Rui. Their mouth was wide open. Everyone paused in utter fear. A sword. A silver sword in mid-air that towered over the entire village of Kumo. All of the civilians paused as they were confused. How could someone even muster enough power to do that? The ninjas dropped their guards, their weapons dropped. They were afraid. Nothing they were doing could stop that mighty beast but this blade. Naruto lowered his hand as the blade came down. It sliced Kumo into two. All of the people that were in the center was squashed like a bug. A deep trench went deep down the earth, splitting the entire mountain going down. The entire place was split. Hand of Kami, said Naruto. A silver hand descended from the heavens itself as it reached into the earth and extended outwards, rooting up both sides of the sliced village. Buildings were toppled, houses were destroyed, mountains collapsed, people got squashed under debris. The Raikage could only watch all of this as he had to move to dodge. He couldn't believe what he has done. The stupid mistake of thinking that he could actually defeat Naruto Osusuke. How could someone even possess power like this? And to make it even worse, the Raikage noticed a small vine. The thing died instantly, as Naruto sucked every ounce of nature energy out of Kumo itself, out of the surrounding nature. All the wildlife started to die. All plants, all animals started to shrivel up and die. He sucked everything into a small ball before he threw it deep into the hole that the arm had created. It exploded. Wild nature energy going off. It blew the village up into the air as many people started to fall back down. They were squashed because of the impact, their bodies slamming against the ground. Everything was in shambles. The place was a mess. And the fact that nothing could grow around here anymore because Naruto destroyed the entire atmosphere. He stood there in mid-air as he looked down towards them. But he was not done yet. This will be a perfect place for them to know. For these people to know that he could not be killed. He slammed his hand together. The entire earth started to shake. His body flushed with nature energy, and not to mention his own power. He was doing something that Hagoromo did once before, but this was different. A large mountain was rooted out of the ground. Many more mountains were rooted out of the ground. Not from Kumo though. From their own surrounding islands. Many of them are rooted out of the ground and brought together. They crush and smack together as a silver energy roam over them, making them smooth. It started dense and rip apart as something was being carved into the moon that he was creating. It was Naruto Osusuke, ruler of the earth. He then raised his hand as he sent the moon up into orbit. All around the world, people were having different reactions. The tremors forced Mito and Haku outside, along with Sasuke. Everyone could see it. The thing was large. Tsunade looked through her window. She was right. The moon was different from the other moon, given the fact that it wasn't so far away from Earth, so that everyone could see the carving on the moon, especially when it was nighttime. The Earth was unstable for a while. Rivers, tidal waves started to rage in Kiri. As the atmosphere, the entire place started to go off balance, until something washed over the world, keeping it stable, calming down the core in the center of the earth. After all, he couldn't rule the earth if it was destroyed. Mei Terume stood where she was. She couldn't believe this was happening. As his words came back to haunt her, beside her was Ayo, who only had one eye at the moment because Naruto ripped out the other one. The both of them realized. Ayo, get everyone. Prepare them for a battle, she said. Ayo nodded as he went to fulfill the request. He was not dead. They were counting on him being dead, so that they wouldn't have to face his wrath. But they killed his people, and he wasn't dead. Back at Konoha, despite knowing that he wanted to control the entire world, especially because of this new moon, Mito and Haku had a smile on their face. He was alive. Meanwhile, Itachi and Kisame were making their way, as they had the body of the five-tailed Han. What the hell? Said Kisame as he looked up in the air. Itachi had absolutely no clue what was going on with Naruto, or why did he leave the Hidden Leaf village, or what the hell was going on. But he always knew that Naruto was powerful. But this was... only the Sage of Six Paths was said to be able to do something like this. And this moon was a lot closer for all of them to read the words on it. As Naruto Osusuke was in charge, it seems. That kid. Seems like he has gotten a lot stronger, said Kisame. As you remember when him and the kid fought. If he was strong back then. Itachi? For once he saw a shocked look on Itachi's face. Itachi always kept himself calm, but he was completely shocked at the moment. As Kisame didn't say anything else. He just merely looked back up in the sky. Meanwhile, at the hidden rain, both Tendo and Konan were looking up in the sky. There was only one man that was said to be able to do something like this, and that was the Sage of Sixth Path. So looking up at the moon like this now, this new moon that was created after the old one was destroyed, it once again showed that Naruto Osusuke was more than a mere man. He was also a god. As Naruto looked down at the destruction that he caused, and the moon high up in the sky, "It looks good, father," said Ragnarok. As he looked up at the giant moon, now all of them would know that this world belongs to you. "Yes, they will," said Naruto. Meanwhile, as a man was glancing up towards the sky, he kept himself calm to not release his power, but once again this boy surprised him. But it wasn't like he was a normal human being either. It seems like he will have to fight this boy in the near future. He heard footsteps behind him as a man that was smoking came up. It seems like he's telling everyone that he's in control of this world now. "I wonder, can you stop him?" the man asks. The one at the front said nothing, as he just continued to look up, before he turned his back and walked away. After all, Naruto Osusuke is not the only Osusuke here. He was an Osusuke as well, and unlike Naruto, he was a full Osusuke. After all, if anyone should know, he should know. Kaguya wasn't pregnant when she left the planet with him. So it's not like he had a Osusuke father and mother. His father was human, but in this body of his, he could not fight him unless he resorted back to his... No, he will stay hidden for now. If he does that, his life force will deteriorate, and he's far away from having a proper vessel. So he will just have to stay hidden for the moment. He said nothing, as a man just watched him as he simply walked off. Meanwhile, Naruto stood in mid-air as he looked down at the carnage and destruction. What these people didn't know was that he had more chakra than the Jobe, locked away so long in that box that Hagoromo created. His chakra had time to just grow and grow after millennia. And not to mention, with his new sage power running through him, he could already smite this entire world without it. But now, it just gave him another boost. And that kind of saddened him. After all, he would have to hold himself back even more if he wanted a good battle. But in his mind, he will know that they were not really worthy his time, because he could just slaughter them if he stopped holding back. "Father, what now?" asked Ragnarok. "I made a promise that I'm about to fulfill," he said. He hopped on Ragnarok's back. "We're going to Kiri," he said, as the dragon flew off, creating more carnage and destruction as he moved through Kumo, leaving the battered Kagis at complete fear, realizing, how on earth are they going to stop this being? They couldn't even call him a man anymore, because he far exceeded that. Meanwhile, at the Empire, the people all released a sigh of relief when they saw the moon and the writing that was on it. They had no idea that he was still alive, but the three main people knew, and that was the three girls that he was with: Yujito, Guren, and Teiwaya. Flashback. The three of them were sitting there in quiet, as she had came back from Konoha and told them what Jiraiya said to her. "No," said Guren as she got to her feet. "This must be some kind of sick joke. He must be somewhere doing this on purpose. I mean, think about it. Who on this earth can take him down?" "She's right," said Teiwaya. "He can't be dead. There's no way he's actually dead." Both girls turned towards Yujito for her to say something. "Yujito," she looked up. "What are your thoughts on this?" "He promised me that he will come back." "So you don't believe this as well?" Yujito shook her head. "Of course not. But I don't know where he is." "I'm right here," said the voice. The three of them turned as they saw Naruto standing there, but his body looked all hazy. "What's going on?" said Yujito as she quickly got to her feet. "Yeah, it's been an entire week. Why haven't we seen you?" said Teiwaya. "We thought you were dead," said Guren. "Calm down. I'm fine. I'm not really here, I'm just projecting. My consciousness here." At the moment, I'm in the process of doing something rather important. It will take a couple of weeks, but I want you to let the world think I'm dead. Only tell the council about this. This is a secret, so make sure they keep to themselves. Make sure the village think I'm dead as well. After all, we can't have them go blabbing their mouth. Why do we have to make them think you're dead? Just a test, said Naruto. And also, I want to see what Kira will do the moment they think I'm gone. But you're fine, right? Said Yujito. Yes. She released a sigh. She realized this was not the right time to tell him, so she kept it to herself. I'll have to get going now. What I'm doing is really chakra consuming, he said. Yeah, take care, she said, as the others nodded. He was gone. The three of them breathed a sigh of relief, despite being in denial. The fact that they haven't seen him in 1 week, well, it made them worried. But now they were sure that he was fine. I was worried there for a moment. Why should I be, said Teiwaya. After all, he is Naruto. I guess we should celebrate. Celebrate? For what? Because you know that he's alive, said Goren. Yeah, she's just saying that because she won't get in my pants, said Yujito. What? I never said anything like that. Oh, so you don't want to get in my pants, said Yujito. Well, I mean the thought isn't bad, she said. Goren started to laugh. That made the others start to laugh as well. Hey guys, I have something to tell you guys. Huh? As he realized, she got a bit serious. I've been keeping this to myself. I visit Karen and she scanned me. It turns out I'm pregnant. The both of them turned towards her, surprised. Already? End of flashback. As Yujito lay by herself, she was just waiting for him to return so she could tell him that she was pregnant. She was not even showing yet, as it was still weeks in. But she was, well, happy. Yes, being a mother brought her pure joy. The thought of living like a princess never crossed her mind when she was younger. But that is what she was basically is. A kind of a princess. And throughout the years, she's grown to love him. She really do. Oh, isn't that sweet? You love a guy that's gonna murder hundreds and take over the world. Well, there isn't anything I can do about that. Yeah, I guess you're right, said Nibi. Well, at least you're happy. Hey, I was wondering. Naruto didn't practically do anything, right? Yeah. Once this Akatsuki mess is over, I'm gonna ask him to free you. Free me? Yes, so that you can, well, do what you want. I know that you want to be freed as well. To go out in the world and enjoy yourself. So I'll ask him to do the stealing and keep me alive while freeing you. Are you sure that's what you want? You know that you will no longer have access to my power, right? Well, at this point, does it really matter? I guess you're right, said Nibe. But we're gonna do it after this whole Akatsuki thing is dealt with. We don't want them hunting after you once you're finally freed. Thanks, kitten. No problem, you always looked out for me. Why shouldn't I do the same for you? At Konoha, I guess you are right to be in denial, said Tsunade, as the three of them stood in her office. Tsunade looked back to the window. But there isn't really anything that we can do about that, she said. As she looked up towards the moon, he's basically saying that he controls the planet right now. You two are really happy that he is not dead. But does this really mean good news? Said Tsunade. I guess it really isn't, said Mito as she lowered her head. Despite wanting her brother to be alive, now that she thought about it, now that he was still gonna continue with his goals. And he made that more clear by, well, showing it on the moon. As Haku sighed, but what exactly can we do, she asks, other than going there herself to fight him? I don't see any other option, said Sasuke. The three of them turned towards him. And are you sure the both of you can go along with that plan? And are you sure that it will even work? Mito looked down in her hand, as she had a sun in her hand. Sasuke had the moon in his hand. The sage had given them this. Ability to seal away Naruto. If the both of them were to touch him at the same time, they flared their chakra to seal him in a makeshift moon. But could Mito really go through with it? And the thing was, it couldn't really work. He's become so much stronger. Could they actually seal him away? The sage was reluctant to believe that it would actually work. He said that he used the same thing to seal his mother away, but he said that Naruto is a lot more powerful. So what if we try and we fail? Would he ever forgive me? Mito, this is not about him forgiving you, said Tsunade. This is about the entire world. The Fire Lord, the Wind Daimyo, all the lords are having a meeting at the moment. They want to talk to us, all Kages, for us to find a way to work together to kill Naruto. What? Said Haku. All of the fundings, most of it, has been going towards the Otsutsuki Empire. The Otsutsuki Empire has not been sharing anything at all with the others that are not a part of their control. The minor village that belong to them are being funded, but the others are not. They have been left out in the cold. He has already taken over Kiri. I don't know what's gonna happen now, because I don't know what happened while he was gone, if they believe that he was actually dead and done something stupid. But that's not the main deal here. The moment he moved into the Fire Lord territory, he and the other lords are gonna order us to come together to try and find a possible solution to deal with him. And the both of you have something. The both of you have power. You're probably the only two people on the earth right now that can actually fight him and don't get slaughtered instantly. And he will hesitate when it comes to you people. All three of you. And that's the best way of trying to seal him away. But what if he breaks free? That's a chance we'll have to take. Mito lowered her head. Mito! I'm not asking, said Tsunade. Mito didn't say anything. Tsunade knew that this was harsh to make her do something like this. And her emotional state might not make her go through it, but everything was getting hectic. Everything was being on edge right now. The lords have been meeting 3 times per week to discuss possible measures before they had heard that Naruto was killed. She was sure now that they saw that moon in the sky and know that he was alive. Everything is going to be start back up, and they would want an ally between all nations to try and fight him, to try and stop him somehow. As she hadn't told anyone, not even the council members, that Sasuke and Mito had something that can seal them away, because they would be instantly drafted. She was a Hokage, but having the council and the Fire Lord against her, especially Danzo, when he will try to twist their minds in different ways, she wouldn't look good in that situation. She would look like she was on Naruto's side. They couldn't just let him take the world like that. To let a tyrant take over the entire world, that was beyond wrong. But how exactly can they fight him, if not Mito and Sasuke? Tsunade glanced towards Sasuke. She has gotten reports that they have been sighting of Itachi Uchiha and Kisame passing through the Fire Nation, going past the border. She had her troops not engaged. She didn't know how Sasuke felt about his brother at the moment, given the fact that the situation was more tense, as they were dealing with gods, aliens and all that, man from different planets. So having him focus on revenge and rage at the moment towards his brother wouldn't be healthy. That is why, as the Hokage, she decided to keep it to herself. That was probably the wrong thing to do, but in this situation, she had no choice, as Sasuke had asked her that he should be notified when Itachi was ever sighted, but she never told him about the reports. She kept them to herself. As she glanced towards him, he hadn't asked her about it in some time now, so she really wondered, does he even want revenge anymore? What was she saying? He slaughtered his entire clan. Of course Sasuke wanted to get back revenge, but he just wasn't fixated on it at the moment right now, and she was gonna keep it that way. Meanwhile, as Naruto looked down towards the village of Kiri, as he took in a deep breath, "So what's the word, master?" said Ragnarok. "Destruction," said Naruto, as he saw all their troops line up and waiting for him. What a welcome party. He warned her. He really warned her, and yet she still made moves against his people. She should have known that she would lose when it comes to a god. He was going to make sure that she suffer. Meanwhile, the Akatsuki was gathered, as they were in the process of about to seal the 5 tails away When he done suddenly spoke up, "Isn't anyone gonna talk about the giant moon in the sky?" he asks. As all of them were being so goddamn calm, Itachi he get, and Kakazu, who didn't really care about anything except for money. But what the hell was going on? But guys, be in subscribe right here. For the next part, so do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification, stay posted. But more for now, see you guys soon. Peace.